Good evening, fellow gamers. My name is Superman, and I'm casting alongside Juhadre this evening. We're bringing you live from Salt Lake City, Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers, Week 7 of League of Legends Tournament. Man, I'm super excited, Juhadre, because we took Week 6 off for spring break. We had amazing matches back in Week 5, and
great.
Week 7 looks to be explosive with these teams.
I can't wait to get started. That long break, it's great to have you back here with me, the two of us here, ready to do some PACG action. There are so many implications now that we're in the 7th week of play, and it's just everything is so much more exciting and so much more tense than it has been the last couple weeks.
Week 7, we'll take a look at how the tournament works. You can see Week 7 is actually the penultimate stage of this group stage. So the 8 weeks of regular season play, again, this is Week 7, is when the round robin happens. That determines seeding for playoffs, and that's just 1 week of play. And actually, for us with League of Legends, then finals week is the entirety of playoffs. Monday will be the semifinals, and then the finals happen on that Wednesday of that week. So the playoffs and the finals kind of are together. But what's most exciting, I think, out of the next little while here, for me at least, Jadre, is next week, Week 8, the last week of group stage. It's rivalry week.
And I feel the exact same way. I love rivalry matches, the hype behind it, the aggression, the just everything about having a rivalry, all of the glory, the gloating, and everything about it. It just makes everyone play at a whole nother level.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the rankings so far out of the regular season. You can see Utah right there at the top. They've got a 4-0 group score. Again, the scores that you see on your screen here are match scores. They're not your game scores because these are always best of 3s. So they may have lost some games in there. Not Utah, though.
No, not
They
Utah.
actually have a perfect game score as well. Stanford just slightly behind them with a 3-1, 2-0 Arizona State, who we'll see tonight, taking on WSU, who is actually just slightly down there below them, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, so Washington State is 2-1 right now. Arizona State 2-0. So if Arizona State wins, not only will they stay ahead of WSU, but they will supersede Stanford as a 3-0 as opposed to the 3-1. So like I said, a lot of stuff riding on even just this first match. As you can see, we have those up here. The first one going to be Arizona State versus Washington State, and then later on, oh, nope, never mind. That is going to be Wednesday. I stand corrected. That is this week, not just tonight. So Wednesday will be USC versus Arizona to see who will not be fully defeated.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting to see what these teams will bring out as we're approaching playoffs, because we should have it's likely we'll have a new patch before playoffs, just because it's normally that 2 weeks when you get a new patch for League of Legends, so we're not sure what to expect, but it is going to be an odd patch, which should tell us it's supposed to be
little. It's supposed to be little.
Yeah,
but
so it shouldn't be too much.
I mean, they say that, but 8.5 was actually a lot bigger than I think they intended it to be, but 8.6 was also really big. We're on that one this time.
Yes.
We've only got today and Wednesday of that one, like you said, because then the next Wednesday is going to be that 2-week mark where we should be getting 8.7.
Yeah, so we'll get more into that when we get into League of Legends action. Let's take a look at the lineups for the first 2 teams we'll see matched up today. It is Arizona State versus Washington State University. On the left, you can see Cadillac Roof in the top lane. Hi, I'm Bako in the jungle. Death by Zerg in the mid lane with Shui and Breezy on the bottom lane.
And then over here on the red side for game number 1, Washington State University with Drubin in the top lane, Power Kook roaming the jungle, Filthy Hippie in the mid, Mistro and Boodles manning the bot side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a pretty good best of 3, Juhadre, because you can see game score 4-0, game score 5-3. There's a lot of action these teams have already had under their belts here in the PACG. Knowing each other's play styles from either VODs or just being able to know by scouting out the players what to expect should give us a really good pick-ban phase. So let's get right into it, Juhadre. Here we are. This is the draft. Again, game 1 out of a best of 3 between Arizona State University and Washington State University. So Arizona State is favored here based just on their score, but Washington State has looked so explosive in their last few matches you and I have been able to cast in the last few weeks, especially with Drubin in the top lane.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, one of the first things we need to see out of Arizona State is the cannon ban. Whether you think it's a good pick or not, Drubin proves it is. There is no question in my mind that that has to be banned. Looking down there already, you do see Skarner and Jarvan taken away from PowerCook. I told you specifically about the Jarvan today because we've seen him play Jarvan and Zac.
Yeah, and he's almost always done very well with the Jarvan. It's the Zac that he's kind of struggled with, I would say. Whenever he gets Jarvan early, he seems to get first blood. It's just almost like a written in stone.
Yeah, exactly. But there we do see the follow-up is the Cannon ban there. Those are 3. And then over here for Washington State, they want to ban out the Alistar. Very good idea. Rise, still very, very strong despite his nerfs that he just recently got. But then Darius, who just got his own buff.
Yeah. Really strong bans here. But they do actually give over the Lover's Lane to WSU.
Rip.
Mistro and Boodles have a lot of games played together, and their synergy has always been on point. Even when they're losing, they seem to be on the same page, right? It's not, oh, hey, we have to run, sorry, you were behind, and now you're dead. It's, we are on the same page. We're either fighting together or we're running together, and that's exactly what you'd want to see out of the Xayah Rakan lane. But that means the strongest remainder from the jungle is kind of left open here. Strongest, short only of, say, Olaf, which I think is interesting to give back over to WSU because you already give them a strong bottom lane. If you give them the best or at least highest rated jungler right now for competitive play, you need an answer for the late, for like the mid game, I should say, because late game, Xayah will do a lot more than Caitlyn. Now the Morgana Caitlyn lane is extremely strong and should be able to bully out WSU early, especially if Breezy is on point with the bindings.
For sure. And I was actually going to mention all of that because the Caitlyn Morg lane is so oppressive. It's just, yes, it's good, but then you give over the Xayah Rakan combo. It's just so strong right now. I was talking about it in another tournament I was casting. I don't think that should ever make it through pick ban phase. If you're not going to pick Xayah first, ban.
I mean, most of the time what you see is at least a Rakan ban, right? You don't want that initiation tool available, so you just ban that out, and then you don't have Lover's Lane. Maybe they take Xayah if that's what they're comfortable with, but it's not supercharged, if you will, by the Rakan. Now, there have been some nerfs to their comboing, but not enough to say that they're not worth playing together.
Oh, definitely not. But now, this is actually really cool. We're going to see Swain. I think this is going to be the first time in the PACG since his rework that we're going to see him.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, you can almost tell because of the splash art.
Yeah. I actually want to say that that's going to be Drubin's, actually.
I think that'll likely, yes.
Well, we can double check on the bans here. I agree with and yet disagree with Washington State here because they didn't pick the Vladimir. They didn't pick the Orianna. They're just... You know, they wanted to make sure they got their bottom lane and their jungler. I think that has to do with their confidence in the playability of Drubin and Filthy Hippie, where you can then lock in this flex pick Swain into either top or mid. But I think Arizona State did a decent job picking against it in either lane.
Yeah, I think it's okay. The interesting mid lane pick here, the Karma, you don't really have a Kog'Maw or even like a Xayah, for example, that's going to be a hyper carry for late game, not even a Twitch. So it's interesting to see them going kind of all into the hyper front line and then hyper back line. Like, you just have so much tankiness on Arizona State. Combo that with Black Shield, all the shielding potential that can come out from a Karma, and you have a really beefy squadron for Caitlyn to just kind of be safe to attack. You're not now worried at all, I would say, about the Olaf, but like we've seen in competitive play, say over the weekend with NALCS playoffs, the Swain with a composition does something interesting, and what that is he creates this zone of control where he says, if you want to run to my backline, you have to run through me, and I do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Can you deal with that damage? Arizona State says yes.
Well, and that's exactly how Arizona State likes to play. The 2 games we've seen them play have been exactly that. It's all about the front. Go in, go do the fights, get the kills, and get the win from that, because that's where you're going to get your gold to buy your items, and then do it again because you have the item advantage, and just kind of snowball. I think that's what they're going to try and do. You set it up with the Morg, getting the binding. Actually, looking at it here, the crowd control chain from Arizona State would be so devastating.
Yes.
You get hit with the ultimate from Sejuani or a binding from Morgana. Instantly, you have a trap underneath you. And then you have Morg ulting to get the extra stun. You got the slow and the root able to come out of Karma, the knock up and the silence from Cho'Gath. It's gross.
Yeah, I mean, the CT chain is there, and a lot of it is AoE. So Arizona State should look really strong in team fights, but their split push pressure is nil.
Yes.
Right? Yes, Karma can wave clear on a side lane. If she's got teleport, she can join. But the idea behind having Karma as a mid laner is that your shields are massive and your poke is massive. You have to be near enemies to be able to have that happen. If you're just shoving a side lane, you don't actually offer that utility, the movement speed and shielding to your team. Least of all the Caitlyn, right? She's not going to be accompanying you in a side lane. So what is the plan here for Arizona State? You can't answer the split push of Drubin. You can't. You don't have someone to do it. You have someone who can maybe match the wave clear, but that would be your Karma, and then you lose the utility in your group. Where do you see the win condition coming through here for WSU? I've talked about how team fight potential looks pretty strong for Arizona State. WSU seems to have the split push, but they don't really have a split pusher in the lane.
No, I think it's the Zed. He actually just got some buffs. With the Duskblade of Drakthar nerf, he got kind of brought up a little bit to equal, quote unquote equalize that. I think he would be a better option for the split push than Swain would, just because of the teamfight presence, that Demonic Ascension ultimate from him being such a powerful tool. Putting Zed in the side lane instead, he's got easy escapes, he's got a lot of dodge ability. We've seen massive plays in professional play about how he can just dodge damage and even get a 1v3 and survive it.
How does Zed play? That's the question that I have in my mind right now. Like, how does he play League of Legends in this particular game? Because in my mind, if Arizona State is just grouped as 5, then they force a fight with their movement speed, with their engage tools that they have. They have the go buttons. What can a Zed do in a 5v5 situation? There's no way he deletes anybody when you have an AP Karma who's going to give you hundreds and hundreds of extra health, effective health, and shielding. You've got insane level of tankiness in your front line. Who can Zed kill? It doesn't seem like he could actually have the damage to actually nullify one member of Arizona State. And if that's true, he has to split push.
Exactly.
Meaning they have to have that side lane pressure from a Zed who doesn't have teleport, meaning whoever matches him has to be strong enough to survive 1v1. More importantly, the other 4 of Zed's team have to play safe. WSU has to play safe.
Yes.
If they get caught, it's over.
I think that the answer is the Cho'Gath. That's why Arizona locked that one in, is because almost no matter what, you can send him to split push. He's tanky. He's got % health damage. If they send a tank after him, he's going to win. If they send a squishy, he's going to win, because that bite gets over 1,000 true damage. That's half a hit point bar.
Yeah,
and so it's just, who do you send to answer the Zed? You send the Cho'Gath. I think that's the way to do it.
I don't like the Zed pick.
Neither do I. Especially as a last. It was the 10th pick of the entire draft.
I mean, it can do well against Karma if you have an early bully lead. You have to have like pressure from your jungle show up. Otherwise, Karma can just like kind of run at you and make your life miserable as any sort of AD mid lane assassin. Think Talon, think Zed. These type of champions who have gap closes to get on you, but if they use a gap close to get away from you, they don't really have any strength at all left over because they can't actually damage you from afar. I mean, yes, Talon and Zed both have their ranged abilities, but you can't kill people with those.
No.
Not without them being dumb. So we're at this high level of competitive play. I expect that just the draft has so strongly gone in favor of ASU that they should run away with this game.
I agree. And there's a reason AD mid laners aren't in right now. You know, since the lethality nerf, this was way back. This is season 7, even back in season 7 when that got nerfed, and they just didn't show up. And then you just got this brand new list of mage items. Why are you picking an AD?
Yeah,
I don't agree with it at all.
But here we are on to Summoner's Rift. Again, this is a best of 3 between Arizona State University and Washington State University. I'm excited for this, Juhadre. Man, game 1 should be explosive. I think the draft is clearly in favor of ASU, but WSU has really strong damage. So if they can burst out members, it's really hard to kite away from that team.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to see someone walk into that Death Brush. The Morgana snare, even at level 1, lasts for days. It is just so long. And then the empowered Q from the Karma. Maybe Caitlyn has the trap. That would have been, you know, just layering all of that, getting so much damage would be crazy. But instead, we do see the fan coming out of WSU, and they're going to get a nice, easy leash here for the Olaf on that blue buff.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at these lanes. You can see standard leashes on the bottom side of the map for both of these junglers. Filthy Hippie, we're used to seeing him play ranged champions in mid lane. And so you can see the push pressure in favor of Death by Zerg. He's very comfortable on AoE mages. We haven't ever seen him play the Karma. We've seen him play a lot of, say, Galio, Rise, those types of champions. He's really comfortable with those AoE mages. Karma, really different, but can do a lot of the same things where you can mitigate engages, kind of start your own, and you do extremely well when you have team members with you. So level 2 is here. That means there's a little bit more pressure from the Zed, but still not enough for a Karma to worry about. But interestingly enough, Flash was already blown by Shui down here on the bottom lane.
Oh, we missed an engage. I'm going to guess that Boodle... Look, we can already see it, actually. Mistro and Boodle's level 2. So it was probably a grand entrance into Feather Pull from Mistro that, you know, Breezy probably has binding first instead of the Black Shield. So now we can see a little bit better trades. But that is really unfortunate if you're... You know, if you're rooting for Arizona State, Shui needing to burn the flash, it's not even 3 minutes. Oh, there we go. But no trap to follow up from Shui. Bummer.
Yeah, it was on cooldown because he was setting him up for the lane. I mean, let's think about this early game, Jihadre. Baco and Kook have been just quietly farming. No ganks either, but the vision is definitely in control of ASU. You can see they ping him out. They know that Olaf's around mid lane. Just going to back off. Nothing doing. They've already got the scuttle there, so there's nothing more on the top side save Krugs for this Olaf to take. And PowerKook is looking to try and spot out Sejuani, but he's getting read like a book here. This is a 2v1 onto the jungler.
So there we go. He flashes, even though he's definitely going to be rooted. He's going to get hit with the permafrost. One more auto attack ought to do it. PowerKook is somehow away. There it is. First blood going the way of Death by Zerg, but now Filthy Hippie goes in with the ignite onto High-End Bako. He flashes forward. He's got the double buffs. So does Death by Zerg, getting another root from the W. Death by Zerg is on the chase. Auto attack to get the slow because of the red buff. Speeding up with the courage shield. And he throws the empowered Q, but a nice shift on the shadow. Filthy Hippie makes it out alive.
Oh, man. Death by Zerg, he missed 2 of his Qs in that engagement. The first one was the ulted one, and then the second one there would have secured the kill. He missed them both. That's bad news. ASU read the play perfectly, but if you're going to be playing around this Karma pick in mid lane, you need to be landing that skill shot. That's where 90% of your damage will come from.
Oh,
you have to land those spells, Jihadre.
Yeah, you do. And like that's the point of picking Karma. Her damage on that Q, that Soul Flare, and I think it's called Inner Flame when it's empowered, it is surprising. Like even earlier levels, I remember playing Karma mid a couple seasons ago, and I just ult Q'd someone at level 2 and got 3/4 of their hit points in one shot. It was just so much damage. PowerKook does manage to speed up, but gets hit with the flail. Makes it out, though. Breezy getting hit. Fights everywhere. We talked about it. Both these teams are pretty aggressive. ASU so far does have the extra kill. We didn't get to see it up top, but Cat on Thy Roof managed to outplay Druben and get one for himself.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting development for the front end of this game because overall, this is ASU playing their macro and team play very, very well. But WSU is kind of playing mechanically better at this point.
Yeah, I can see that. They're able to get the better trades, blowing Shui's flash really early. But here we go again. Cat on Thy Roof is just destroying Druben. Look at all that damage. He's not even really touched, missing maybe 200 hit points here. No, not even. Only 100 or so. And he's just going to heal it right back up where Druben has to go back and he has to teleport. He didn't use it to come back after dying the first time. But now we can talk about vision again after seeing such a good advantage for ASU. Now, Washington State has all of theirs in the bot side there around that red buff where they knew that... Bako started up on the top on the blue buff. It was a double blue buff. Oh, but Filthy Hippie might want to go in here. He does get the electrocute damage. Death by Zerg dodges it out. What do you think about this Infernal Drake?
Well, we can talk about it in just a moment. Bottom lane looks to be fighting a lot. Like, the Mistro Budo's bottom lane, Budo's actually extremely low from the Ignite. He has to back completely off. That was Ignite for heal traded overall.
I think that's a decent trade. They actually just buffed Ignite and nerfed the cooldown of Summoner Heal. So that's advantage for ASU. They're going to have the Ignite up before the heal comes back, I believe, if the changes happen correct, you know, how they were describing them.
Yes. All right, let's look at numbers across the board.
Oh boy. Speaking of, here we go. There's the gank, and I'm Bako helps Cat on My Roof pick up another kill. Actually picks it up himself.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so 2 deaths in the top lane. Bottom lane has been bullying ASU out, but the top end of the map pressure is null, right? It's gone. There's a 20+ CS lead in favor of ASU on the top lane. Mid lane is close, kill versus kill, but you have the scaling potential here that fits your team composition for ASU. I think the Karma, having her have gold, is a lot more important for ASU, a lot less important for ASU than having Zed be fed is. But she's getting ganked in here with no flash.
And there is nothing gonna save Karma from that. And you know, I think that is instant Karma coming back after getting Power Kook underneath the turret earlier in the game. Just way too far forward. They had zero vision on the bottom side of the map, and but they also knew that Boodles wasn't with Mistro. Here we go. Filthy Hippie just trying to say hi to Bako.
The ultimates were used, though, in that gank there, the 3-man gank on the mid lane. So,
all 3.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned vision. I've talked about the ultimates. This Infernal Dragon is the likely next neutral objective that both these teams are interested in. It's really the only neutral objective on the map right now, but more importantly, it's the one that both of these teams are going to be interested in. If WSU can stall things, and it looks like they can until they have their ultimates again, they have nothing missing in terms of their team fight potential around that objective. More importantly here for ASU is if they can clear out the vision, which they're now doing a good job doing, they might be able to have that pressure because their team composition does a lot better as a team fight-oriented composition overall.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons you do. Oh, but this is going to probably be it. The ultimate cast from Mistro, but got that combo. Breezy getting the Dark Binding. Good stuff.
And this is what the Caitlyn will do. The Caitlyn Morgana, of course, you saw it work there with the binding into trap is their strongest combo. But now the Caitlyn range advantage means they can just hit the turret for free. Those headshots do damage to the turret. But up here, looks to be Cat on the Roof getting ganked out.
Oh boy, he has to flash away, but now Drubin goes in with the Demonic Ascent. Bako is here. He gets the knock up underneath the turret. Drubin still taking turret aggro. Power Kook flashes the ultimate from Bako, and now he is no longer unstoppable. He's going to get flashed on again, and Power Kook may make it out. Bako needs to get one more hit to get the permafrost, and there it is. He does manage to pick that up. Killing spree now on the Sejuani.
Just showing up at the right places at the right time. We saw that happen for First Blood in mid lane. And now a turnaround gank in the top lane. Nice play there. Great communication from ASU. That sets them up to push in a huge wave here with teleport still on cooldown for a little bit longer. Drubin going to miss out on a lot of golden experience, and this is going to be some damage on that turret. Really nicely played there by Bako.
And I like the choice there to back. You just leave. How many were there? There were probably 10 little caster minions there wailing on that turret, and Drubin is gonna miss a lot of them. But what does Cat on Thy Roof lose? Literally nothing.
His flash is
traded
for 2 assists. You'll take that every day. Actually, he only got the 1 assist, but essentially helping to turn around a double kill there for Bako. But this is an engage in the bottom lane.
And this is a lot of damage onto Shui. Ignite is there, but the flashes are both cast. Poodles gets hit with both ultimates. Breezy picks up that one with a quick pull underneath, and Shui, fleet footwork indeed, dodges the undertow from Power Kook.
That was close to almost being disastrous there. Shui uses both summoner spells to get out, and then uses his ultimate to help get that kill, but PACG almost lands that undertow really close. But now they've got the health advantage on the bottom side. Numbers advantage not quite there because you do have pressure from your jungler. Sport recalls, nobody's going to go for the Inferno.
No, I don't think either team is really focused on that right now. It's all about the laning phase. That's why you picked the Cho'Gath, is to keep him in the lane. Well, maybe not necessarily because you get the true damage from the Feast, but right now he's in a really good laning spot. He's got Grasp of the Undying. He wants to stay there and just keep fighting people. Caitlyn and Morgana have good wave shove. Sejuani has great gank ability. I don't think that they're really focused on the river as opposed to the lanes, where I think they can get better advantages.
Yeah, they need to decide where they want to put their next set of pressure. And ASU's plan here, I think, should be to bring the jungler down once again. You have teleports available for both top laners, and you already have the pressure in favor of ASU. Almost first turret up there. Almost first turret in the bottom lane, but the bottom lane also includes Infernal. And you can see WSU has this plan in mind. They're bringing all members, save the top laner, down to this bottom lane, and you've got a lot of damage early. Early game, WSU has far more damage available to them. Maybe not CC to stack on any single target at all like ASU can, but here is PACG. He shows up with the Predator, but doesn't get anything for it.
No, I think ASU did a really good job getting some vision down after, during the aftermath of that last fight, but Breezy gets caught with some feathers pulled back. Boodle's narrowly dodging that, but all that vision saw PACG way early. If he had an extra 2 seconds even that little in League of Legends time is so long, and they make it out really easy.
Yeah, the good news is WSU kind of just has to run at you to be able to attack ASU, but the Caitlyn pick here for Shui means he just puts traps down, and yes, Olaf can run over them and not get stalled out, but he's going to take damage from that, and he'll get focused down by the AoE that ASU has. But this is a nice play here. Just vision control, gets the Infernal, and now they can kind of reset and make sure that they don't give up advantages in, say, the top lane. They don't want to lose that first brick. If they can,
I'm pretty sure they're going to.
Nice
but speaking of pressure and losing stuff, need to get that last auto attack out of Boodles. That completely didn't work. He got the trap and the extra damage, but he had to trade with Mistro to dissuade anything else. Ooh, Breezy getting, breezing there just past him.
And then a gank.
There we go.
That'll work. Seems like every time that the pressure comes here for WSU in the bottom lane, then ASU is getting something elsewhere and getting it for free. They traded Infernal essentially a little bit later for that Rift Herald, and that's going to translate into a fifth brick, second brick. Oh,
yeah, they got it in the top lane. Yeah, so much came out of that. Yes, they trade the Infernal, but they get almost 3 kills. They get 2 turrets. The Rift Herald is still going. They get the 3rd turret from the bottom, and they burn PACG's ultimate. There is nothing wrong. Worth 100% right there.
Yeah.
You give up Infernal Drake and get the rest of the map. Nice play there from Arizona State.
Yeah, and they're all playing around this Sejuani. Bako has been in all the right places at all the right times. You can see 4, 1, and 1. He has shown up. He helps them get top lane ahead, then he gets us the Rift Herald, and then heads mid lane for blue team to get them ahead even further on this Karma pick that's meant to be kind of the glue to stick all their components together here for ASU. Because with the shielding, with the movement speed, it amplifies what their composition was already built to do, right? You've got that tanky front line and a nice CC crowd control, kite you forward or backwards back line for ASU. The Karma augments all of that. But WSU's composition still has, I would say, the damage threat. Even when they're down 6,000 gold, 5,000 or so, they still can burst down any single member, even a tank at this point. They just have so much damage from their champions.
Even more than just the damage, Boodles has been landing all of his combos every single time. I love using that term. That one makes me happy and smile. But he's been landing all of those grand entrances. He has decent cooldown here for the quickness. It's already back up. He's still got that ignite. He has the spellbook. I think he might be trading that for a teleport later on. Or, if they're starting to lose the fights that we've seen, and he feels really confident in it. What if he switches it out for the likes of maybe an exhaust or a heal or something?
You might have to go cleanse.
I mean,
there's so much crowd control, and he's not really one of those champions as a support that normally would take cleanse out of the summoner spellbook, but we'll have to see what choices he makes. I think Ignite is a pretty safe bet one way or the other right now, but he might decide he has a change to make within the next few minutes. Pressures look to be had on the top side here, but PowerCook uses Predator in mid lane.
I think a little ill-advised. You don't know where Sejuani is, but she knows where you are. Look at all that vision up in the top side here. It is everywhere for ASU. They know that no one is coming to get him. That allows Shui and Breezy to just play, to just do them things. And Bako again getting caught. He is on the trap. He takes so much damage. Death by Zerg gets that one. Mistro does dodge out the ultimate from Sejuani, but there's a flash forward. Breezy goes in with the Chains of Corruption. No, sorry, the Soul Shackles. Mistro has to flash the Rupture, and here comes Druben. Demonic Ascent goes up, but Cattle Knight Root is really tanky. I don't think he's going to be able to get the kill. Instead, the Root there, Farm Morgana. Look at all that damage. Shui just poking all through that fight.
And Shui may have the damage, but props there, I think, to Breezy. He sets up the play, nice Dark Binding, makes it so that they can lock down Boodles. He dies, and then he flashes forward to play aggressively onto Mistro. Mistro has to use both of his summoner spells and his ult to get out of that situation. And then, of course, baiting in the jungler. PowerCook felt like he might be able to get something there, but he couldn't because of the nice stopwatch play that came out from Morgana. Really well played.
I think that Washington State needs to readdress some things here. Olaf, I don't think fits PowerCook's style. There's no engage. It's let's run at you and deal damage, and that's not working for them right now. He's got one good gank under his belt.
Yeah.
One.
Ooh, this could be
this
really
is
dirty
going
here.
to
really
hurt.
Filthy, if you may.
I do. Shui here. Oh, the binding was so late. Filthy Hippie gets an easy kill. But it looks like he used both of his summoner spells for that.
Yep, he did.
Wow.
And it was both summoner spells from Shui, so at least they're answered. But that is what Zed can do. Let's take a replay of that top lane to see what Breezy did. I want to see this again because it was just so beautiful. There is the Dark Binding into the traps. So beautiful, he gets just locked down. You combo that with all the AoE damage that a Karma can deal. Now this is where Mistro gets kind of caught by the flash forward, has to use his own spells to get out of dodge, and then there's the summoner spells too. He tries to use the heal to save his teammate, but it's not enough. And then look, the tanky frontline can just sit underneath the turret for forever. And then there's another Dark Binding into the comboed headshots. Almost 100 to zeros out Druben on what's supposed to be their frontline. It's just not working for WSU. They haven't set themselves up for success thus far. The early game has gone heavily in favor of ASU, and they've translated that into more map pressure. The vision control has been the name of the game. And you mentioned PowerCook here on Olaf, Juhadre. What I find most interesting is he would be able to engage if this were a normal match of League of Legends without this Karma pick. I thought it was kind of curious that they didn't really want a high AP mage in that role. But now I'm understanding it a little bit more. The shielding gives you bonus movement speed. Anytime PowerCook has looked to try and gank out mid lane, if he hasn't gotten a perfect gank path, and it was really only once, and it was set up by Boodles, then there's really no way for him to engage at all. The movement speed from the shielding here from Death by Zerg's Karma means your Predator, as Olaf, gets answered by at least one, if not the entire team if they're grouped together. Oh, and speaking of PowerCook,
he is unstoppable, so they're going to have to try and find another way to get him. Will it make it? Oh, PowerCook wastes so many of those crowd control spells, but does end up going down. No smite for WSU means free Baron for ASU.
Yeah, because ASU has no contest smite against them, but they also have the smite of their own plus Cannon on their roof. Has his own.
It's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, they can just hold out if they want to actually give that stack over. Looks like they might be. Nope, 1,500, 1,200, that's 400. They're just going to smite it out. That's going to be a quick 20-minute Baron. Now catapulting that gold lead up to about 6,000 or so. It hasn't really moved in the last 5 minutes. Nice pick there from Filthy Hippie on the bottom lane to get the shutdown on Caitlyn was good. and this will be an answered mid lane, so that's more good things for WSU. If you're a fan of WSU, you have to be happy with at least some of these answers that they've gotten in the last few minutes, because they've mitigated the pressure that was applied early from ASU and made it so that they stopped just hemorrhaging gold across the map. They got a little bit back for themselves. Yes, PowerCube got caught there in the jungle, and that translated into a Baron just essentially for free. But other than that, the last few minutes have gone pretty well for WSU. Now they have to stall a little bit longer and maybe keep sending Zed into that side lane like you talked about in Champions Select.
Yeah, that's going to be the strategy for WSU, because Druben is going to get harder and harder to kill, as will PowerCook. We already saw how far he got. He did have to use his ultimate, and without being affected by crowd control, but he still made it all the way from the far side where that ward is, that one red ward, that part of the blue buff, all the way to the entrance of his own jungle. That is so amazing. That's just pure durability, but Druben himself is going to get more hit points from that stacking Rod of Ages. He's going to get more damage and the cooler down reduction. He's going to be able to just sit in a fight and deal damage like nobody else can. But then it's going to be completely mitigated right here with Breezy. Druben is not killed with the ace in the hole, but there it is. See? 2 more defensive items on this guy, and he will not go down. And that's the point they need. Filthy Hippie able to push in the side lane because Zed does that so well. They're just not getting the chance.
No, they're not getting the chance. At least they don't lose lives for those Dark Bindings. That was 2 quick Dark Bindings that did land. Bottom lane outer falls. Top lane outer is going to fall very shortly. Another Dark Binding. Will they take this fight? No, Boodle's going to back off a little bit more. Zed trying to look for an assassinate on the back end there, but you can't really do that to a Sejuani. More pressure in the top lane means it's going to pull more members of WSU up this side. I like the trap line from Caitlyn. Has to fill in the gaps a little bit more. Has to, more importantly, I think you have to hold one.
He is unstoppable in that Ragnarok. They keep throwing the spells out. That is going to go down now. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Cat on Thy Roof is going to take an inhibitor, I think. Yeah, he's got a Baroned up cannon there. And everybody's fighting in the mid lane. Now let's take a look here, see what happens. Uh-oh, that is a almost kill onto Breezy. In fact, it is. Mistro picks that one up. Boodle's in with the quickness. He's jumping in, getting the shields. Mistro gets the root onto Bako. He jumps out. There's the ulted E from Death by Zerg. Filthy Hippie gonna get hit. Ooh. No, block. PowerCook saves him from the ace in the hole. But meanwhile, they lose their inhibitor.
Yep, there was all the pressure from the Cho'Gath the entire time there. Cat on the Roof able to get that bottom lane inhibitor. That means the next Baron should be even easier to take. Even if PowerCook is on the map, they have the extra pressure from the bottom lane super minions. Now I want to take a moment to talk about a change that happened on this patch. You can see Cat on the Roof, yes, he's playing extremely well on this champion. He's playing well in macro. He's got things for his team, but I'm not sure about the Abyssal Mask pick here. Yes, there are melees that have to run at you, but somebody just did the math and even showed like screenshots of it. Because of the changes on 8.6 to Cho'Gath's, to the Abyssal Mask, yes, it's stronger if it's effective, but the AoE range has been nerfed significantly. So much so that, typically speaking, Cho'Gath's auto attack range is larger.
Oh.
So it's not actually going to apply that magic resist debuff-esque. It's not really a debuff, but it amps your damage, right? So I don't think it's the best pick, though I don't think you really replace it with Roa either because you want the tankiness. But because you're mostly facing physical damage threats, and if you're split pushing, you're only matching physical damage anyway, because it's unlikely that Druben's the one split pushing rather than the Zed, then I think you could consider Roa. If not, just go for, say, like a Proto Belt or like a Randuin's, if you will, so that you can just run straight at their 80 carry.
There is another binding onto Mistro. Ultimate comes out from Caitlyn, is blocked by PowerCook again, but Breezy just wrecking this team's day. The engages coming out of that Dark Binding are doing pretty well here for ASU.
Yeah, Druben's been landing nice never moves from the Swain pick, but it's not actually translating into anything. Nice comboing of the crowd control once again.
Gorgeous. Look at that damage. Druben dropping down to 1/5 of his hit points, and there's the ultimate from Sejuani onto Filthy Hippie. They need to disengage. There's a Rupture and a Feral Scream from Cat on Thy Roof. Redemption going to come down and heal up ASU. They might even stay and fight. They have super minions now in WSU's base. I think that they're confident enough to stay and pick up their second inhibitor, which is great news if you are an ASU fan.
Yeah, and if you're an ASU fan, what you want to see from them here is they back up, they take the buffs from the enemy jungle, recall, reset, maybe you take Dragon on your way too, but more importantly, you reset and get your vision set up for the next 90 seconds before Baron spawns. And then you get that Baron because it'll be the last few seconds of the inhibitor bottom lane still being down, and you will have that side lane pressure without having a champion there.
So they do miss the blue buff, but they are going to give the stack to Cat on My Roof with the Drake. And that's going to be double Wind Drake. So they're going to be moving pretty fast, even in combat since it's changed in 8.6.5. Was that when they did that, 8.5 with the Wind Drake change?
It was 8.5.
Okay.
Okay, so taking stock of the map, it's 8-2 in turrets, 11-4 in kills, meaning the total gold difference is approaching 10,000.
And we can see it, right? You have the Rod of Ages and Pieces here for Drubin, as opposed to the Warmogs, Righteous Glory, and Abyssal Mask for Cat on Thy Roof. And then we can see 3 completed items for Sejuani, only 2 for Olaf, 3 for Karma, to the 2.5 there for Zed, 2.5 versus 3. So it looks like Zaya's a little bit ahead, but you know, that's the only place really that I see advantage.
Good, and they're doing exactly what I said. Reset, you can take the Drake on your way out, which they did, set up vision for that Baron, and then just take it for free. Or you can wait, make them face check a few times, and you get some kills out of it. It just kind of delays your pressure, though, if you try and set up multiple baits. I think you just go for it. You have the Cho'Gath plus Smite available. You shouldn't be worried about anything. If WSU wants to force a fight, you can force them to engage on you. It's not really a 50-50 if your team plays on point. And then because they've committed so hard to try and take what shouldn't be a 50-50 Baron, then they're out of position and you can run them down with your Righteous Glory. So I just want to see them stay on the Baron here. You've got the pressure. Drubin can't really join them because if he TPs away, they lose an inhibitor turret.
Here's the TP. Here comes the TP.
It's a little
late,
I think
they need to do it. Just hurry and get it. There's going to be the Smite. Blue team does pick up the Baron, and all those shields keeping Shui alive. Unstoppable Olaf is stoppable if you kill him. Flash forward. Cat on That Roof gets that one. Drubin finally picks up a kill. No! I take it back. He gets a double, almost a triple, but it is not enough to answer ASU. He is now in a 1v3. Death by Zerg. Cat on That Roof and Breezy want to find him. He gets knocked up. He gets silenced. He gets rooted. He's going to take so much damage from Cat on the Roof. Pops the Seraphs, trying to get the kill on Breezy, dodging out the last rupture, but does go down.
The delayed quadra kill into the teleport. He's going to get the style points finish as he shows up, helping Death by Zerg finish off the Nexus. Man, those top laners were the name of the game for that fight. It was explosive. ASU's gold lead just shows how far ahead they are. That's going to be the Nexus for game 1, 16-6. 10, almost 11 turrets were all taken there for ASU. What a convincing 30-minute victory.
More than that, this is the third game win for ASU. Why don't we take a look at that last fight one more time, because it was gorgeous. Superman, take it away.
The teleport was a little bit late. It's already down to 2K, then 1,600 when he actually shows up. There is the feast that comes from the Cho'Gath. He's going to be so strong. Look at that, 5,000 health in this fight. Yes, the Caitlyn has to flash away, but that means your DPS is like kind of gone. That gives the okay go here for Drubin to flash on this choke point when his ultimate has already stacked a lot from being in the pit. He's going to get so much. Yes, the never move was beautiful. He almost gets an instant triple kill. But speaking of a triple kill, Cat on Their Roof here. The knockup not quite there, but the last auto attack. It was those Vorpal spikes, man. They did so much work. The slows and bonus damage based on his health. And man, he's landing these skill shots. He chases them down. And then the delayed, unofficial quadra kill for Cat on Their Roof. The sleeper, strong pick top lane. Man, we thought Drubin was going to be the one to carry it for WSU, but it turns out ASU's top laner is also there. Also a great player. I even saw him play some solo queue the other day. I happened to be spectating one of my own buddies who was climbing up on one of his alternate accounts, and he's a top laner. He got laned against Cat on the Roof. Cat on the Roof was playing some Riven. Struggled against an R pick, but it was fun to watch him play.
And I think that the Cho'Gath pick was the best choice in that entire draft, I think.
How many times
aside
have I
from
said
the
it?
Karma, but
Cho'Gath is like a free win in
you did tell me that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, Cho'Gath equals free win, and that's exactly why. You can't just bully this guy out of lane, and then you send him against your split pusher, against the enemy split pusher, I should say, and he just wins.
Yeah, he does. He has great wave clear, great sustain, and he's tanky enough to not have like kill threat against him, right? So he's totally fine. You get a little bit of help to help him through his early game because it's really, really weak, high mana costs and whatnot. But until once he overcomes that early game deficit, he just pops off and is an unkillable void monster.
It's great. It's great to watch that. But like we said just before that last replay, that puts ASU at a 5-0 game score. Are they going to be the second team to be even game score undefeated?
It remains to be seen. We'll have to check out what happens with game 2 as ASU will try to take a second quick victory over WSU. We'll return with more League of Legends action for the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers League of Legends Spring Tournament. Don't go anywhere right after the break.
To the way. I'll take a chance and let you in. Just take my hand and take me home tonight. We defeat all impossibilities. Yeah, you and me. We'll take our hearts and run free into the wild.
Welcome back, Collegiate esports fans. My name is Jake at SupermanCasting Maury, and I'm casting alongside Juhadre. Ben Sorensen has cast alongside me for a long time now, and we've always enjoyed our matches together.
I love it.
Great to have you along this evening. If you've been with us since the beginning of our broadcast, you saw as ASU dominated WSU, taking a 10,000+ gold victory. Beautiful ending game Baron fight there with a quasi-quadra kill for Cat on the roof.
Oh, man, it was so much fun. And what else is fun is recognizing Cat on thy roof. He's in the top lane. He is on the roof. He is that Cat. He's just there. He's sneaking up. You don't.
Top lane?
I would love it. I would really love it. But I don't think it's going to happen because a couple weeks ago, there was that too. There was an obese panda in the jungle, and he never played Volibear. And it made me really sad.
That's sad. Well, let's get right into that champion select. Look at this. Game 2 coming your way. WSU versus ASU. ASU on red side now. Oh, man, this is really interesting. Yeah, we'll get the team colors sorted out.
So some of the things I want to see change. WSU, I don't think that Drubin did well enough on the Swain. Whether you can blame that on Arizona State playing against it well or not, I think that they need to find something a little bit better for Drubin, more to his play style, like that Kennen into Vladimir, more team fighty, except that's exactly what Swain does. So just maybe an off game for him. Already we see the ban phase kind of going different with Talia here coming out from Washington State. They don't want to see that.
All right. I mean, I think the main thing we have to see here from WSU is putting PowerKook on something that he's more comfortable with. I took the time during the break to check on kind of his match history and see how he's been doing on that Olaf pick recently, because you mentioned in that game, Juhadre, that it doesn't really fit the playstyle we're used to seeing from him. And when he does have his champion of choice, he dominates, right? And now there's Jarvan and Zach both on the table, available after this ban phase for WSU. Do they give PowerKook his Jarvan that he almost seems to always get first blood on, or do they still look for early picks that are for a different strategy? I like this choice, though.
Yeah,
because
it's good.
Last game, the bottom lane was just freelo for ASU. They had the Caitlyn Morgana, and there was no answer to it at all. Even when they tried to have PowerKook show up, it doesn't matter if you're Jarvan in that situation. You just can't apply that pressure.
Right.
So, take away the Morgana. If you're not going to ban it away, that's good. Now, even things look even better for WSU when they pick up a Jarvan like this. I'm excited for WSU because that could bring us to Game 3, and you know I love Game 3s.
I love Game 3s as well, but I know that you like them even more than I do. What's interesting here is you and I were talking during the break. We thought that Mistro might do really, really well on that Caitlyn, not relying on Drubin to be making the plays for him, but instead setting him up himself. But instead, they do lock in the Morgana, and then you know that Shui wants the Caitlyn, did excellent work with it last game, and that leaves PowerKook and Filthy Hippie two really comfort picks, but Bako back on the Sejuani, and then Tom Kench here for Breezy. That looks pretty good.
Tom Kench is good. He is a decent answer to the Morgana. It's fine. What I want to talk about, though, for Arizona State here is I think they have to, yes, and they begin to, and they do start choke holding the AD carry position, because Mistro didn't have a very fun game last time. He was playing the Xayah with the Rakan, but Rakan can't really do anything in that against the Caitlyn Morgana matchup. So when Mistro is having to play around his support, and his support really can't do anything, he's kind of left just dropping the ball on himself, right? He can't actually do anything. So I want to see WSU going for an aggressive bottom lane pick here. You've got the Morgana. She's really strong, does well into this match. You have the range advantage for ASU, but WSU can look for just those aggressive laning advantages. I want to see something that has that presence in lane. Jinx is okay.
Okay.
It's not,
okay.
It's not what I'd like to see that much, but it will scale well. It does okay in lane, matches the range in lane if you have to. Should be okay for WSU. The bottom lane looks to be better in this draft for WSU than it was last game. So at least that's not so free for ASU.
So hear me out here. I think that even Sivir might have been an okay pick there. Being able to just step on those traps with your spell shield. That, it's a soft counter to the Caitlyn. It is aggressive. It pushes just like Caitlyn does. It is a lot shorter range, though, which is why some people don't like it. But just a lot of Caitlyn's damage comes from the headshot. So if you're eating the cupcakes without being headshot, that it mitigates a decent amount of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're rooted, then you stay in range, but if you can just walk over them and walk out of range, then you don't take the headshot. Great
Exactly.
point there, Jadre. Now that the draft has rounded out, let's talk about these compositions, because it looks like, okay, for first game 1, what happened for ASU in the early game that's just snowballed their advantage was the mid-top side of the map where Baco was everywhere he needed to be, exactly when he needed to be there. The counter gank mid lane for first blood into what was almost a double kill for their mid laner was really, really good. Then he shows up top lane, turns around a gank there too, and gets a double kill essentially for himself and just gets massive on this Sejuani, able to frontline for his team. Now, you've got a less strong bottom lane. You have a bottom lane that's not as strong.
Yeah.
Meaning you don't have that free pressure down there. You can't just afford to show up for free into top and mid without losing anything bottom side, because WSU can create plays now. PowerCook is not on the Olaf. He only had that one game in his match history, and it was just in flex queue, so it's kind of just comfort of the team more than comfort of the champion. Other than that, no Olaf games, so I'm glad that he's not on that anymore. They don't even ban it. Nobody picks it up. I'm okay with that. Even though it's a strong tier pick right now in competitive play, that just, if it's not your champion, it's not your champion. Don't lose games for free just because you're picking something that's supposed to be strong, but actually isn't because you're not comfortable on it. So, with these drafts, I think they both scale immensely well, but the early game looks to be in favor of WSU. PowerCook on Jarvan.
So that's exactly what we said last game. So I hope that PowerCook can indeed execute on that, because that's why you picked the Jarvan. His ganks are nearly impeccable when he plays that in the early part of the game. But we were also talking about players and comfort and everything like that. We do have to mention that Death by Zerg has been swapped out for Luti.
Yep.
Which explains the Azir. And actually, the change in the bans, that's why Talia is gone and why Twisted Fate is gone now.
Yeah.
It seemed really uncharacteristic, but that does explain it. I'm excited to see Luti jump back in here and show what they can do.
Yeah. I mean, I like the bans towards the top lane for both these teams. Take Vladimir and Kennen away from Druben, because Druben just annihilates entire teams when he gets those picks. The AoE damage that he brings out is just insane. We've seen him get multi-kills after multi-kills in those team fights. So you take those away. That's smart from ASU. And then the respect bans for the solo laners that come out from ASU, great choice there. You mentioned TF banned away from Ludi, and then you ban away Cho'Gath. Cat on the roof.
Yeah,
showed why he's
can't
great
let
with
that through again.
No, not again.
And it's really funny because a couple of teams have thought, oh, we can play against Kennen. We've got this. Oh, I play against Vladimir's all the time.
No.
But then the next game, it's gone. They're just like, we're not doing that again.
Let's not talk about it.
Let's not talk about it. And so I think the same thing happened there for Cat on My Roof. Druben's like, hey, guys, you know that thing that people do to me? Let's do it to Cat on My Roof. I don't want to fight Cho'Gath again. That wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's exactly like Season 3 letting Meteos have Elise.
Oh,
it's like,
gosh, I remember
let's not
that.
talk about that. Please ban it next time, because that was not an enjoyable League of Legends experience.
Definitely
That's
not.
what it's got to be playing against, in the team fights at least, playing against Cat on the Roof there on that Cho'Gath. He was so strong. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of gold lead there too, but I mentioned Cho'Gath's just a strong pick. Cat on the Roof, great player. Put those two things together, you got to win.
And then you had the ganking also. That Sejuani timing for Cat on My Roof was crazy. Druben died twice solo, and then a third
he's
time.
0-4 in lane.
Yeah, 0-4 in the lane.
Not so much of his own fault. He just things got turned around. Baco, Sejuani got it again for this game too, but it was the macro play that really worked out well for ASU's early game. So we'll have to see if that is the name of the game, if that's the story that unfolds once again for Game 2. Game 1 was a smash in favor of ASU, and Game 2 is going to be on your screen in just moments. Again, this is Washington State University trying to take down ASU. ASU undefeated.
Even games. WSU wants at least something for their troubles here. They were third place coming into today, and now it looks like ASU says, not anymore, guys. That's my place up there at the top.
Yeah, they're going to be the only ones contesting Utah for that undefeated/undefeated score that you can have in PACG. Again, this is week 7 out of 8 of regular season play. Next week is rivalry week, which should be really exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Man. And when we complete regular season play, it's only the top 3 from each region that actually goes through. So you have to have a winning score. You have to. Otherwise, you don't make it to postseason. So Arizona looking really strong, looking like they might make it there, and they could be threatening WSU's ability to actually make it into postseason.
Yeah.
Making it really scary coming into the next week.
Well, just like you said, right, the top 3. So if you're only going to be playing 4 games that count, because rivalry week I don't think counts toward the round robin to get into playoffs.
It does.
It does?
Yep.
Okay. Never mind then.
We just saved them on the schedule for the very end because they're going to have to play each other anyway.
All right, that's fair. Okay, I get it now. I get it. I was doing weird calculations in my head. Okay, anyway, so if you're only playing 4 games, or 4 matches rather, think about that. One team in each bracket so far is looking to go completely undefeated.
Yep.
That means there are 4 losses that you need to calculate in there. And that, let's say second place wins 3. Okay, now that's another 3 losses you have to count. That means one team goes completely defeated and the other team is 2-2, something like that. So Washington State right now 2-1. If they go 2-2, it is really close to possibly knocking them out of playoffs.
I mean, this spells disaster here for WSU if they lose here in Game 2. That decreases their game score and puts them in basically just a tie, right? They're not in the position they need to be coming into playoffs. But again, this is Game 2 of a best of 3 between WSU and ASU here on Summoner's Rift. I'm SupermanCasting. This is Juhadre play-by-play for us, and we're bringing you some live League of Legends action here. Man, this is an exciting match, though, because I think the draft played out a little bit better here for WSU. They have engaged tools that are not just run at you this time. And Power Kook on the Jarvan should spell success for their early game. We've never seen Power Kook do poorly in early game on this champion. No. I expect great things from him.
Same here, and especially because he did the better route. You and I talk about it almost every time we see a Jarvan. He skipped the chickens. And thank goodness for that. It's just, the camp is so powerful early on, and Jarvan is not a tank, you know, by design. You have to build him into it. He scales with the hit points and the tankiness, but early on, it's not good.
Ooh,
Neither is that.
Oh.
Shui. I didn't even see it go down because the turret was in the way.
Yeah, the sneaky placement there from Shui. He was so clean on the Caitlyn last game. Good to see him still on form this match, Juhadre. And he forces the early recall from Boodles. Yes, that'll be solo experience from Mistro, but he's not safe at all underneath that turret. You can see that gives the AOK the go button there for Baco to invade this bottom side. He's going to take away some of that golden experience from Power Kook, who says, okay, smart play, going to answer that, try and trade Raptors top side. Man, this is really good macro play from both these teams. The pressure here absolutely there for ASU early on, though.
Sejuani is good at taking the Raptors early game because she is a tank. She gets those extra resistances, everything. Oh my gosh, there's another trap.
It's that one
Boodles.
place. Juhadre, when you place it there, it's hard to see it with the camera angle unless you're completely panned away from the lane, it feels like. So great placement from Shree. He's playing beautiful Caitlyn mechanics right now. And Boodles, you mentioned how Morgana can just black shield herself and walk over the traps
Still
and not
another
get
one there.
Yes, there is.
Oh my god.
You just replace it every single time.
It's like underneath the turret. How are you supposed to see that? That is dumb. I don't like that, but guess what I'm going to start doing when I play Caitlyn now?
Placing the trap.
I'm going to place a trap there.
I hope so, because that is one of your spells. Another trap lands, replaces it again. Mistro down to 60% health. That's a great-looking bottom lane. Speaking of which, this kind of pressure has now developed into 2 waves worth of a CS lead in favor of Shui. It's amazing. This looks awesome.
Now, we were talking a lot about the top lane. We are talking bottom lane right now, and we'll get right back to it because we can see Power Kook there on his Krugs. But I want to make mention of Drubin on the Ornn. Ornn is a tank. He's one of those guys you can't just force out of lane. But we saw in the Clutch versus TSM games that Ornn deals ridiculous damage for being a tank.
Yeah, even when you're playing against bruisers who build straight damage, essentially, the tank stats and the base damage alone, if you're landing all your skill shots, like we saw in that competitive play, does enough damage to create that kind of pressure. Even get you solo kills, quote unquote.
Oh,
The
my gosh.
redemption is the assist, if you guys remember from this weekend.
I do.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Man.
But looks like the vision is enough for ASU not to get ganked out. All this pressure on the bottom side brings PowerKook down, but we talked about how PowerKook is supposed to have that extra advantage this early on as the Jarvan pick that he's really comfortable on, has historically done well. But Juhadre, this pressure from ASU is just too much. They seem to be able to set up the vision at the perfect times to make sure PowerKook can't apply that kind of pressure in return.
I think that was really wise for Breezy to pick up the Tom Kench. You're right, it isn't as good as the Morgana necessarily, but they give PowerKook the Jarvan intentionally, and that's because Breezy has the ability to do everything. They have 2 flashes, a heal, and a Tom Kench Devour to say, no thank you.
Yeah, and with Unsealed Spellbook, those will be off cooldown often, and you can swap out to, say, Cleanse. So you have, I like to call them an extra set of summoner spells for your carry, or carries, whichever one happens to fall into trouble. With Morgana bindings, if last game was any indicator, then they will get in trouble from time to time.
Definitely. And so I love that, first of all, the ASU drafted the Tom Kench, but second of all, that PowerKook understood that exact point. He was not going to get a kill. He would have had to expend a summoner spell himself to probably even burn one of even Breezy's. It's just, it wasn't worth the time there. He got spotted out early. They watched him take that ward up in the Tri-Brush. And now, spotted again, taking the Rift Scuttler.
Yeah, and with this pressure pushed in, we've been watching bottom lane for a while now. Shui can just clear out the vision, Breezy can set up their own, and they're still safe to continue pushing down this bottom side. It looks really awesome here for ASU's early game, when WSU was supposed to be set up to have a little bit better pressure in the early game. That's awesome.
Yeah. And now we can see Druben here, 10 CS ahead. He's able to just build an item in the lane because Ornn. I'd be ornery if that was my lane opponent. It's not fun.
Tons of damage, right?
I love it.
The traits here in mid lane look okay. You can see the CS numbers are pretty much equal. Top lane slightly in favor of WSU, but nothing really to speak of at this point. It's really been the bottom lane. You can see the massive CS advantage there for Caitlyn, but she hasn't based. It's all just gold in their pockets at this point. In fact, down consumables. So all things considered, if PowerKook could show up before they're able to spend that gold, that's really good for WSU, and that pressure that's been here the whole time doesn't actually equal out very much. Shui, low health, low mana. Now is the perfect time, but Jarvan, also low, is going to have to return to base.
And we can see that Jinx is level 6 here. Mistro did get that solo experience when Boodles had to go back, but luckily, neither of them died. That's the key here, is Boodles managed to make it back, and Mistro played safe enough, even though he is down a lot of gold.
The teleport comes through. Nice route onto Shui.
Here we go.
Will this actually turn into a kill? Druben's really close. He has Call of the Forge God.
Oh, he does, but Shui uses the 90 caliber net to get away. Breezy is still alive, pops that gray health. Summoner heal is used. Breezy is hit underneath the turret and gets hit with the Super Mega Death Rocket. That is a kill for Mistro. We thought he was behind, but manages to pick up the kill himself.
Like I said, Juhadre, that's what you have to do. You have to gank before they're actually able to spend that gold. The beautiful trap placement in that fight was perfect for ASU, too, to try and buy time. I would love to see a replay of that fight because it was so close, back and forth. It looked like the teleport wasn't going to net them anything because they were able to create that space quickly enough to seemingly get out of dodge, but the Call of the Forge God looked clean until the trap play from Shui actually ended up things. Let's take a look at that replay on your screen in just a moment.
So I think also it's really important to note that Cat on Thy Roof did cast his ultimate down there as well. So he was trying to get the assists there, maybe pick up a kill on the backside, but here it comes.
Look, Call of the Forge God come through, but the trap placement means he's rooted. He can't actually cast that spell. Breezy still low. The ignite was enough. And a second Dark Binding. The first one had forced his flash. Nice heal from Mistro means Druben doesn't fall to that tower hit. So the great team play, nice communication from WSU overall means that they get that first blood essentially for free. So really nice play there from WSU. Luti invading here with Bako. Again, nice team play, but this time from ASU. They're trying to make sure that that first blood gold doesn't give them there's not anything really lost because they've already accrued such an advantage for themselves on this bottom side of the map, which opens up the dragon play too, Juhadre. It's just a cloud, but their pressure is nothing to scoff at. You can see even with First Blood going over to Mistro on Jinx, the items are actually identical. That's because
really
there's
good.
so much of that CS advantage for Shui. Great Caitlyn play so far. Has to continue, though. Otherwise, things could be bad news for ASU. You have to keep that pressure up because WSU, they're down 1 game in this best of 3. Don't want to see them fall in a quick 2-0. And right now, that team play that we saw on bottom side, we need to see more of that.
So the only not so... Oh, wow, but here we go. The Black Shield does manage to save Mistro from the ultimate from Bako, but now the turnaround here, Shui gets hit underneath the turret, but Breezy manages to pick him up. Azir, Luti makes his way and does get the kill onto Boodles.
Okay,
that
this
was
has
close.
to translate into first brick. It has to. Otherwise, it's just a kill traded for a Rift Herald. And if that's the case, you could be missing out on first brick because of that. Cat on the Roof does spot them out at the end, but Luti's down here on the bottom side. Ace in the hole.
Almost gets the kill. Luti dodges out the zap, but High-Ein Bako is still here. Charges forward. Flash does not land the knockup, but does get the kill. Shui flashes forward to try and pick that one up. Here is the first brick you were talking about, Superman. They are going to get it. Nice play there.
Good. This is good for ASU. Now, they are looking very strong, playing around their strength in the bottom side of the map. This is a nice gank into top lane. Forces the flash from Cat on their Roof. He has to play a little bit further back, but without him falling, that means they don't actually miss out on anything. He's still healthy enough to defend the turret with his barrels, and that's going to be first brick, a couple of kills, and now the first Drake. All under 12 minutes in favor of ASU, catapulting their gold lead to 2,000. That's really, really strong. The Rift Herald going to try and answer in top lane, but that's okay. That's just a little bit global gold, and now they'll swap out, send the duo lane top lane. This macro play from ASU looks beautiful early on.
I've noticed a lot recently that some teams don't follow the swap. When you send your duo lane up to the top after taking the turret, you need to match that roam because the 2v1 always goes in favor of the team that got that first turret. They're going to have the items, they're going to have the pressure, and it doesn't look like they're doing it. Mistro's still on the bot, and Boodle's heading that direction too. Especially
after first brick is already gone in terms of the tower bottom lane. We'll get a quick pause here, but yeah, once you've already taken the neutral objective of that bottom side of the map, there's no reason to have your duo down there anymore, especially if you don't have a turret for your own safety. If you're WSU, you're feeling worried because if you have your duo down there, you're sacrificing pressure in the top lane because now Caitlyn and the Frog are heading up top lane. They're going to be pushing.
Frog.
I mean, that's what they're calling
I love it.
Why not?
Well, yeah, it was Frog swallows the cog, right?
Yeah,
that was the rhyme that Kobe wanted everybody to learn.
I mean, there could have been so many. I was like running them through while they
Were you
were
really?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many you could have done. But talking about how the 2v2 needs to translate to the top lane once that first turret falls, but especially because the first neutral objective is already gone, there's not a Drake to fight over. Unless you're going to be playing around mid, which you can already do from the top side of the map, you don't need to have that 2v2 bottom lane, even if you're the ones who didn't get the turret. Especially if you're the ones who didn't get the turret, because you need to defend the second one.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And you don't have the safety of your own here on the bottom end. So now, here we go.
Now, and in addition to that, Ornn is your tank, right, against the Gangplank. He's doing really well. So why not send your tanky guy who can take a gank and even do really effective work with Power Kook against Cat on the Roof, who isn't a tank? Put that guy without his turret. There are just so many reasons that they need to do that swap, and they are just way too late right now. They're going to get so much free time.
They're about 30 seconds behind, and you give 30 seconds to a Caitlyn to sit headshotting a turret. That's going to be a quick second outer turret falling in favor of ASU, giving that global gold back over to them. Now there's not a Rift Herald for them to translate that into. Nice escape from Bako. Now they just rotate. You can look from mid.
They almost kill Boodles. But here we go. Luti gets hit with the shockwave. Ultimate from Caitlyn gets blocked by Mistro, and now it's all just disengage.
Yeah, and like I said, there's not a neutral objective on this top end for them to take. So once they clear out that wave, you send the Caitlyn mid.
Here we go.
This is a nice engage.
The full power there onto Filthy Hippie. Takes so much damage, but manages to get out with that flash.
Miscommunication there, I think, between Bako and Luti. I don't think Luti has to follow that up with so many of his resources right at that moment, because you should expect that Filthy Hippie has those summoner spells. Luti should be tracking those.
Ooh, anyone watching the mini-map, the Super Mega Death Rocket was headed toward Cat on My Roof. It has execute damage, and he was down to probably 250 health. That would have got that kill. Went right underneath him.
Yeah, but you can see now the pressure here is in mid lane. The duo lane hasn't joined them, so this is actually kind of scary because Sejuani and Azir don't have their ultimates. If PowerCook just wanted to engage on them, I think he actually should have, even though Filthy Hippie doesn't have his summoner spells or his ultimate to follow up something like that. It's just, if Ludi's half health and low mana, the same was true of Baco, and they don't have their ultimates and you have a numbers advantage, just go for it. They're at your turret, and the duo lane that has most of ASU's gold isn't there. But they're just going to kind of reset, get the blue over to Luti, try and take a breather and say, where do we want to go next? Because this is one of those tough moments in League of Legends where in that early to mid game, you've gotten a few things that have gone your way, and now you have to decide, where do we want to put our pressure next? What are our lane assignments? Who are we sending where so that we can get what?
So it's easy to take a break, easy breezy, you might even say, if you're ASU. So they're pulling off. They just got a good timer for their bot lane. Static Shiv now complete for Shui on this Caitlyn. Gonna do really well. Although it is the nerfed version where it doesn't get the bonus damage to minions. So that kind of feels bad. But I still think that this is one of the optimal ways of building Caitlyn. I've seen it be Infinity Edge first. I've seen it go BF into Rapid Fire Cannon. I like the BF into one of the Zeal items right now, just because you have to be so far ahead to make the Infinity Edge worth buying early.
Yeah, okay, so in the side lane, though, Drubin has the pressure, I would say. Yes, he's getting pushed in because Cat on their Roof just has barrels, right?
Barrels.
Yeah, and he can just he can just push the lane, but we've seen when he's able to fight, when Drubin's able to fight Cat on the Roof, he's actually winning those fights rather handily. Nice vision play. Might mean a catch here. That's Luti flashing forward.
But the Black Shield stops all of that. There's a shockwave into a whole bunch. In goes PowerCook. He does manage to get the Cataclysm. Super Mega Death Rocket gets the kill onto Luti. Here comes the teleport from Cat on Thy Roof. Someone is so much later. Drubin not going to be there. A nice block from Filthy Hippie, but Drubin gets in now. It is so far a 1-for-0 in favor of Washington State. But will they be able to save this turret?
Oh my goodness. You know, College of Forge God is still available, and now, even though that has kind of a numbers disadvantage for WSU, so many spells, summoners, and ultimates were used for ASU. I would love to see them try and answer this, because when you're on your back foot like this, like WSU has been for the last few minutes, you need to take those small advantages you get for yourself, like that outplay with the Black Shield you mentioned, Juadre, and turn that into more than just mitigating losing out. You need to turn that into some sort of a win. And now, pushed into the turret. Mistro is kind of alone, but the rockets will help him clear out. Dragon spawns in just under a minute, viewers. This means a fight once again, but a lot of spells have to come off cooldown for ASU to take their gold lead and translate it in.
Not just any Drake spawning in under a minute. That is an Infernal. This is going to be huge for either team. The gold is only about 2,000. Like you said a little bit earlier, that was pretty huge. But now that we're 17 minutes in, we're at that mid-game point, and we have seen a couple of items coming out from these carries here. You have the Hurricane on the Jinx. You have the Static Shiv on Caitlyn. Ludent and Zeko already finished with the Nashor's Tooth. Trinity Force on Gangplank. You know, this is the time where we're starting to see where those gold advantages are coming. And this Infernal is going to be key for whichever team gets it to answer what deficit they may or may not have.
And the vision is already here for WSU, meaning Boodles can land those bindings from lack of vision for ASU. That's good news for Washington. So if you're a fan of Washington, let's see it in that chat. This could be an explosive fight. And most of the gold is on Caitlyn. Shui here on the Caitlyn got so much of a CS advantage early on in laning phase. Oh, that's a lot of poke onto Boodles, and he is a key member in these fights. Even though he's that support, the Dark Binding sets up a lot of what WSU hopes to do in these fights. The poke has come through for ASU, but it's not as much as they might. Here, down to 2,000 health, this is the fight.
Here comes Baco. He's ready. Call of the Forge God goes in onto Shui. Jump forward. He got the ultimate onto Jarvan, and it goes to ASU. The fight is now here. Boodles is super low. Shui on the backside kills Drubin, and now they're going to disengage. Washington State only loses one, but they also lose that Drake.
Yeah, it was...
What a fight.
Equal levels, but the smite comes through. 50-50 goes in favor of Baco. They're going to nicely translate to mid lane here, and that's going to be pretty good. The style of that team fight was okay. I think it's actually smart from WSU. Though they lost the fight, they lost the dragon.
Here we go. Sorry, Cataclysm jumps right onto Breezy. He's taking a lot of damage, going to get hit with the ultimate from Orianna, and the last auto attack, Filthy Hippie picks that one up. Nice play there to come back. It's now a 1-for-1 trade, more or less, but they are still down that turret and the Drake.
And hopefully this translates into a mid lane outer turret. They need this global gold. It's not an insurmountable CS lead right now. Oh, the crit!
Oh,
good.
Mistro.
A quasi shutdown plus the turret means they mitigate that gold lead. Yes, they lost the 50-50 smite, but their team fight, I like the way they played it out, because what they tried to do was zone away Shui. I mentioned how most of the gold advantage is actually in his pockets over the Jinx. So if you use Call of the Forge God and a lot of your zone control tools to keep Shui out of the fights, there's a lot of damage missing from ASU. So WSU
definitely
can look to win those fights. So they played around the dragon really well. Unfortunately, they missed the smite. They just get too low, so they end up losing a life as well. But these fights look okay for WSU, even being down a little bit of gold.
Yeah, and we needed to see that to get our game 3 that we like having. They're calming down a little bit, and it's interesting. Both games we've said that they've had what looks like a better early game comp, but now that we're coming into the mid game, that Jinx scaling is what's getting them closer and closer to taking this game from ASU. Yep. And if you're an ASU fan, you really need to worry, because you're in range of losing a game.
Yeah, I mean, this is game 2 of a best of 3. ASU is up from a convincing 10,000 plus gold lead win in game 1, but it doesn't look to be the same here in game 2, because there have been answers from WSU. They're looking slick in their team fights. They're playing to their advantages and trying to avoid their weaknesses. ASU's laning phase has really just accrued the lead that they have right now, and they're trying to reinvest that gold lead into vision control, specifically around Baron right now, and they're doing it okay, but they need a little bit more, because WSU's team fight is actually really, really strong, and they'll scale. Orianna, Jinx, all they need is a little bit of engage, and who better to do that than an Ornn and Jarvan, and these are comfortable picks for Drubin and PowerCube. I'm excited for the next round of fights to break out here, because Mistro finally now has 2 core items completed. That means he can match the damage to a degree, if not more so, as we're scaling past level 11s here. He's post level 9, so he's got a max Q. He's got his ultimate available if they get someone low and they have to flash away. I think the fights play out as follows, Jihadre. Okay. Either Mistro gets resets and WSU smashes, or Luti separates the fight with his Conquering Sands into Shurima Shuffle, and that's how they win the fight. So I think you have to watch the positioning here of Mistro and the positioning of Letty here on the Azir to see how these fights will play out. Because crit chance with the Infinity Edge on a Jinx late game is huge. Baco kind of caught here.
He's dealing more extra damage, has to smite. What are you doing? Baco's going to die. Extended range from the Baron back spikes. I don't think people know about that as much as they probably should, but deals a bonus damage if you're behind him.
And go for this?
Of course they are. Baco's already dead, but ooh, Boodles might be too.
This is really risky, Juhadre. Ornn's not there, and Letty has a lot of damage. The heal has to come through. They're going to just peel off 7,000, 8,000 health. Okay, they're going to keep it, but they're looking pretty low.
Flash, burned, and heal. They're getting really close here. Mistro takes a hit from the Piltover Peacemaker. Ludi on the other side still has Emperor's Divide. Here's Call of the Forge God. Going to try and hit Shui. It doesn't land. That means the Baron does reset. The disengage is there. Breezy gets hit. But here it is. The Shurima Shuffle is huge. But Mistro gets an instant double. No, solo. What am I saying? It was the triple for Luti, but the solo kill for Mistro. Oh my goodness. Baco is here, Cat on Thy Roof is here, Shui and Breezy, the 4 of them are going to take the Baron after initially losing it.
Oh my goodness, elaborate baits, question mark? Baco shows back up to help take the Baron at the end of all of this. That was just indecisiveness from WSU, going back and forth on the Baron. They took so much damage, and the nice flank there from Azir. He just shows up. Let's see that Azir almost
so
instant
gross.
quadra kill. Juhadre, look at this. Dreamer shuffle instantly deletes 3. And then the ignite does come through, but a couple soldier attacks. Shui flashes forward. Or excuse me, doesn't flash forward, but shows up for this fight. Oh, man.
Oh, I'm holding my face right now.
Yeah, you spend way too much time on the Baron this early. You're only 23 minutes into the game, and you don't actually have percent health damage to help you melt a Baron. You don't have a Mountain Drake, nothing to really help you burn it. Yes, their jungler isn't there, but you're still going to take damage. They still have damage threats. And then Cat on their roof, he started out with that cannon barrage. It's just too bad. WSU gonna get a consolation prize here of the Cloud Drake, but now they have to run for their lives. Baco's on the flank with the ultimate.
I think they're clear. They had vision on the top side there, so they knew no one was coming that direction. They were able to escape quickly. But, you know, what good is it? They do get that Cloud Drake, which will deny the extra movement speed from ASU, but they still have to deal with this Baron buff here. Shui going forward with Luti there. The wave clear does manage to stop that first wave, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get this turret on this push. They have a cannon. And the wave clear from Caitlyn is still very strong, so no more minions to help defend.
Barrels into the cannon barrage. They have to back off. They have to.
There's no fight here. In fact, Boodles has to flash and instead sacrifices his jungler. Power Coop does go down, face tanks the Crystal Prison, and now they're going to take a turret and an inhibitor, Superman. And in addition to that, the top lane is already pushing in their favor.
Yeah, well set up for them. That's going to be the Abyssal Voyage, bringing Caitlyn up there.
Breezy.
But now you're out of members. You have to get out of the base. Run!
Cat on Light Roof is going to get hit. He does get the oranges. Pops the Sterex Gauge. Nearly kills Boodles with 1 barrel. Oh, sweet mother of mercy. Cat on Light Roof.
You can just eat those oranges, and BK looking for another barrel combo. He might be able to get Boodles. He's at least clearing the wave to get that additional pressure on the bottom side of the map. Oh, man. And meanwhile, top lane. How many times do you feel like that in solo queue?
Actually, I'm a top laner, so it happens quite often. Meanwhile, top lane, they do take not only the inner turret, but the inhibitor turret, and a third of the inhibitor's hit points. Nice Abyssal Voyage from Breezy there, getting them up to that side of the map, taking those turrets. Looking really good for ASU right now.
WSU is just not used to having Gangplank be there with the team, so they're not expecting those barrels, because normally he's just been split pushing, right? But now he shows up with a 40 CS lead, 2 assists, he's got Triforce. Those barrels hurt. They hurt a lot. So when he shows up on the side and he's with his team, they're just not expecting the barrel combos to come through, and almost 100 to 0s out the support of WSU, meaning they have to back off because they're so chunked. And that nets them breaking the base only 25 minutes in. We're approaching 27 minutes of this game. This is game 2 in a best of 3 between ASU and WSU. Oh, man, things look really good for ASU right now.
It's more than just a best of 3. This is to see who goes to the top of the standings right now. Utah and Stanford are up there. If WSU wins this one, they have a chance to tie Stanford and be 2nd/3rd place. ASU already in 3rd. If they win, they go to 2nd place in the entire series, Superman.
Yeah,
this is a big deal.
Threatening the fully undefeated game score and match score that Utah has for themselves. So now approaching what we can essentially call late game at this point. Close to 30 minutes, 2 to 3, some people approaching components of their 4th. Items here, 3, 0, and 4. Caitlyn Shui is so strong. The CS numbers have been brought up here by Mistro. He's doing just fine, and he is that scaling jinx. Things are not over for WSU. They have a scaling composition that can do work here.
That feels bad.
Mistro, you're frontlining, though. I don't know about that positioning. I'm really worried for him. He doesn't have a QSS, and he doesn't have a frog. You're really just hoping that Black Shield is
on point,
and it has to be.
It was a little bit earlier, saving that mid fight. Filthy Hippie as well. Looking here, he's got his 2 items. He's got the Shred. No, not Shred because they changed it, but he has the Burn from Leandri's Torment, and he's got the Burst from the Ludens. So if they get a decent fight, just the fact that Orianna can keep casting Command Attack, but we're talking about that later. Yes. Shui does get eaten up, dodges out the ultimate from Orianna, but does get hit by the Call of the Forge God. But look at all this damage. Boodles ends up going down to Luti. He jumps forward with the Conquering Sand, shifts Sand, splashes forward, forward, and that's his double kill. But now Drubin and Filthy Hippie need to run. Mistro has to flash. This is going to be an inhibitor for ASU on what looked like a perfect engage from Washington State.
Yes, hello, this is the PACG. Oh, ASU, you're ordering a undefeated match record, undefeated. The order is given, and he just goes in. Luigi here on the Azir is just doing amazing things in team fights. Backed by the Baron, gets almost a quadra kill, and in that fight, he deletes the aggression that came through from WSU. The line of those sand soldiers is ripping through the health bars, Juhadre. Man, this is explosive. They break the other end of the base here from WSU. Soon the inhibitor will respawn on bot side. Just enough time to give them breathing room to maybe contest the next Baron, Juhadre. This isn't quite 40-minute Baron, but it will give the tools necessary, not even necessary, the tools that will give extra power to ASU to push that last lane of the base, if that's how they want to do it, if they want to go for it. But 50-50 smites. You've got a level lead on Bako, so his smite deals slightly more damage, but think about this if you're ASU. If you want a clean victory, if you don't want to give any semblance of a chance for WSU to bring it back, I say be very careful about your decision around Baron. Even around, say, an Elder if the game goes that long.
So, speaking to your Baron point, right now it looks like they're setting up to pick up this Drake. And then immediately after, they head over to the Baron. Here's the thing, you don't need to get the Baron. You don't even need to fight. You just need to threaten it because you have top and bottom inhibitors already down. Now, that was the announcer just saying that the bottom one is going to respawn.
Which means the next wave approaching will not have a super minion in it right now.
Yeah, there it is. It is up.
Give away the Infernal. You don't want to sacrifice a life when your base is so unhealthy at this point. But now that Baron's there, I think you can try and contest if you're WSU. You should push out the side waves, but they've already started the Baron. I guess they're just going to Abyssal Voyage, not in position to contest. And if you come onto it this late without your Jinx, I think you just seed it. Don't give up any lives.
No, I agree with you. WSU needs to let this happen, and now they need to turtle up. That last fight ended up really poorly, but they staved off decent aggression until they engaged themselves, and that's what lost them that inhibitor. So I think if you just use your Orianna, use the Jinx, those are huge wave clear tools. The pool for Morgana. Why is it a pool? It's tormented soil. It's not any sort of liquid. Why is it a pool?
I don't know. It's a game.
All right,
and it's a kiddie pool. I don't know. It's muddy, that's for sure.
All right.
Speaking of muddy waters, the future does not exactly look bright here for WSU. I think their win condition for these fights has to be similar to what they tried to do last fight. They have to hard engage specifically onto the Azir. He doesn't have an hourglass. That kind of positioning right there is where you have to say, go, catch him. You have to be able to engage like immediately and onto this Azir, because he's the one that stops those full-on engages doing work. Ooh, nice Call of the Forge God.
The Call of the Forge God is good, but Breezy immediately eats Shui, tosses him out on the other side of the Cataclysm. It looks like a couple kills already here. Breezy is really low. Drubin on the front line trying to get Shui, dodges out the knockup, and it gets almost soloed there. That, my friend, is an ace in favor of Arizona State. They don't even need to take this turret. They can rush it to the top side and take the win.
Cat on thy roof. This time a cat in your basement, and he scratches their eyes out. Coming around the back side, just like what happened at the end of last game. Cat on thy roof shows up at the last edge of the fight and gets almost a full team wipe in his favor. Cat on the roof coming out big. That's going to be the Nexus. Game 2. Let's take a look at that final fight because it looks so good at the front end for WSU. Juhadre, take us away on this replay.
Here we go. So we see the instant eat for Breezy and Shui. He is alive, waiting so long. They know Power Cook's going to come in, dodges out. Great ultimates here to stop Ornn, and the Emperor's Divide means you have to burn a flash, but there on the backside you can see Cat on the Roof has his ultimate. Breezy manages to get away. He picks up that first kill. Mistro he shot the ult. Here it comes. Kaboom. Boom! Triple kill. Oh, man. And then Bako actually blocked the Super Mega Death Rocket from Mistro, which saved Breezy's life, probably saved Shui's as well. Not a very tanky Caitlyn there. Just immaculate fight for Arizona State.
Really good. You know, WSU put a beautiful fight together at the end there. It's just the Sleeper GP, who showed up huge at the end there, just
Sleeper
nails
GP?
him.
No, Sleeper Cat on my roof. We haven't seen him do anything like that, and that's actually a lot more appropriate than I thought it was at the beginning.
Shows up, and you don't want him there because he's just going to sit on your lap while you're trying to watch some League of Legends.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, what a great performance there from both these teams. Hard-fought matches. The best of 3 goes 2-0 in favor of ASU. Congratulations to them. Now undefeated. Let's take a look at the standings and what that just has done for them.
It is huge. They are now up in 2nd place. They have only played the 3 matches, Superman. First week, 2 weeks ago because of spring break, and then this week, and they are dominating the South region right now. 3-0, putting them ahead of Stanford, looking to at least tie and then maybe meet up with Utah in the finals.
Yeah, could be pretty good. Again, this is week 7 out of 8 of the regular season play. Let's take a look at the tournament overview. After the group stage, which will conclude after next week, the full week, rivalry week.
Rivalry week.
Then we'll move on to the playoffs. And for League of Legends, that will be the final, that'll be one full week. The semifinals on Monday, and then Wednesday will be followed up with more. And it'll just be the finals, the culmination. Super exciting. But League of Legends isn't the only title that we cast here for the PACG.
Definitely not. There are 4 titles that the PACG runs. Mondays and Wednesdays, like we've already said, is League of Legends. But then on Tuesday is Overwatch. Huge stuff there. Overwatch is becoming very, very popular in the esports world. And then Thursdays is Hearthstone. Get some card playing. A little less intensity there, I would like to say, or is it more?
Ooh.
More. And then Rocket League on Fridays. That, I think, has got to be the funnest thing to watch, the cars knocking the soccer ball around. But those are the 4 titles: League of Legends, Overwatch, Hearthstone, Rocket League, every single weeknight here for PACG.
Gives us a lot of esports competition between all the schools in the PACG. Speaking of which, they're in 2 divisions. They do round robins against each other. South Division, Arizona, the University of Arizona, Arizona State University, University of California, Los Angeles, University of Southern California, and Washington State University for the South Division.
Now, I'm lucky here. I get the North Division without any acronyms. So I get to say University of Colorado, Oregon, then Oregon State, with Stanford and the University of Utah making up that group.
Yeah, and again, week 7 out of 8 of regular season play, meaning next week, rivalry week should be explosive. That's going to do it for us for this evening's cast of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers. My name's Jake at SupermanCasting. More, you can follow me on social media at SupermanCasting, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and of course, SupermanCasting.com.
I'm Ben Juhadre Sorensen. Anywhere you see the name Juhadre, that's me.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our entire volunteer staff here at the PACG, casting live from the historic Einar Nielsen Fieldhouse in Salt Lake City at the University of Utah. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you tomorrow for some Overwatch action. Have a good night.